What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to discuss Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 2, Stormborn. Alright, so because Episode 2 was so jam-packed, I left a lot of stuff out that I wanted to discuss in my original review video. So I guess with the way Game of Thrones is going to be for these last two seasons, when this happens, I'll have to do two videos instead of one, and I'll probably end up just calling the second one discussion instead of review discussion, but whatever. Alright, so some things that I left out. Dany's discussion with Varys was so awesome. Now, Varys was always a guy that from the beginning struck me as, do you trust him? Do you not trust him? Is he good? Is he bad? You know, like in the beginning, he seemed bad to me. And then he started to seem good, and then maybe a little bad. And he was like always teetering back and forth. But now from the way he speaks to Dany, and I believe him, even though he's a good liar and a master of deceit, and he's a spider and all that, I really believed him when he was speaking to Dany, that he's always just been for the people. It's never been about the king. He was loyal to Targaryens for a long time because I guess he thought the people were being taken good care of for the most part. So, it gives you a new perspective on that particular character of Varys. And yeah, we all started to feel sympathy for him when we learned about how he became a eunuch and how he was tortured and a slave and all that. We learned that in the past, and he started to become sympathetic. But now that he's actually speaking, honestly, it appears, about why he does what he does, I'm totally on board with it. I totally believe him, and I love it for the character. Now, he seems to be a good guy to me now. Clean cut. Even though he's done some bad things, he's a good guy. Now, why did Dany beat up on him so much? You would have beat up on him too if he was the guy that tried to have you assassinated and basically was responsible for being sold off to Khal Drogo at a young age to be made like a sex slave and all that. She's probably wondering if he had something to do with betraying her father. So he betrayed King Robert. He betrayed, the succeeding kings. So you can see why she's mistrusting and full of anger towards Varys. So it totally made sense to me. But once he says what he says, and the way he says it, and the conviction in his face, kudos to the actor. I don't do that enough on Game of Thrones because I don't feel like I'm watching actors, ever. I always just feel like this is some sort of historical document, Everything just seems so real to me. But I just love that whole scene. I also love Dany's conversation with Lady Olenna the Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns, right? And because she's always so just straight to it. She tells it like it is. She's so gangsta. And you could see her doing that with Dany, but in the most respectful way we've seen her do up until now. Which says something about her that I believe, even if she doesn't say it, she has a deep respect for Dany and the way she's going about things. And, even though she's scorned and full of hate with everything that happened, it felt like Marjorie would have been the best queen ever. And who knows, maybe she would have. I don't think so. She was a little too deceitful, where Dany isn't really deceitful. She's straight out with it. I think Dany reminds the Queen of Thorns of herself in a way also. So I like that conversation, and it was Lady Olenna, the Queen of Thorns. She was humbled, but still like her gangster self in a way, but just in a humble way. I just loved the whole way that scene was written and performed. It was a great job. All right, I don't think I wanted to talk about anything else from that camp, from that side of things. So let's move over to Jon, because I didn't talk about the Littlefinger moment. And now I really thought that was going to be the moment where Littlefinger was going to tell Jon about that he's not really a Ned Stark's kid and all that, and kind of throw it in his face. Because I think Littlefinger has access to that type of knowledge. And he was alive during that era. So I totally think that Littlefinger, if he doesn't know, has a strong feeling towards it. But he's the type of guy where he would always use his power or his money or his prostitutes or whatever, any means necessary to get information. So I could totally see him having this information. I really thought he was going to throw it at him there. They were in the tombs right next to his mom. John didn't even know that was his mom's grave right there, her statue and all that. And they were standing right next to it. And I thought that that's what was going to happen. It didn't go that way. But now you can see Littlefinger scared of John and now has to kind of try and rework his plans to, I'm guessing, get John out of the way. Because that's the way Littlefinger works. I think Littlefinger thought he would be able to manipulate John as he does many other people. Being as John is young and inexperienced and, kind of lost in a sense, or he at least used to be. I think that Littlefinger thought he was going to be able to take advantage and use John for his own, purposes. And that obviously failed. John let him know that he ain't having it. And now Littlefinger's shook. So now I think he's going to try and manipulate Sansa further into pushing away from John. And they're probably going to use the Targaryens to do that. I can also see Littlefinger maybe trying to flip and go back to Cersei. But I don't think so. I think he knows how evil Cersei is. And he doesn't really know Sansa, the Starks that are left, like he thinks he does. He doesn't really know Dany. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be kind of like a him versus Varys thing. Not literal sense, like them two versus each other on the battlefield. But in the way that they manipulate and move behind the scenes, it's going to be like Varys has been doing it all along for the good cause, and Littlefinger has been doing it all along for the bad cause. So I like that. That was good stuff too. Let's talk about Cersei now. I didn't really get to speak about her. She didn't really do much in the episode, but we got the fantastic scene of, first off, her, basically saying that, Daenerys has these she's a crazy Targaryen like her father. She's coming with dragons to conquer Westeros and burn it to the ground. She's got Dothraki savages. She's got eunuch unsullied. She's got all these, slave armies and all that. And she's going to use that to strike fear in the people of Westeros, but also to try and gather as much support as she can. And it's going to work. Maybe not to the degree she wants it to, but it's going to work. She's going to get, I believe it, a large amount of support from this, this campaign of Dany being the evil. So that should be really fun. And now we see Qyburn. He's like the Maester, the Frankenstein who created the mountain. I wonder if the mountain is still paying visits to what's her name? Septa Unella, something like that. The one who was shame. I bet he's been still paying some visits, if you know what I mean. Terrible, terrible torture. So cruel. All right, so we see that Qyburn has had like all the blacksmiths in the Seven Kingdoms or in King's Landing, whatever, build this massive crossbow that has the power to go through Dragonbone. Now, that doesn't mean it can get through the scales and the bone in the same impact. But no matter what, if they hit it in the right spot, I'm sure those arrows will be taking down at least one dragon. Or maybe at least injuring one dragon badly during the Battle of King's Landing. Guarantee you that. But those crossbows may also come in handy when the White Walkers come and they got those giants where they can make now dragon glass arrows and shoot them out of those big giant bows and take out some of those White Walker giants, because other than fire the dragons, I don't see how they're taking down those giants, dude. They don't have any more giants. One's gone. I haven't heard or seen of any more giants that may join Jon and his cause. But we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season, so it could unfold that there are more that they maybe could, Tormund can get together or something. Who knows? But that's awesome to see that Cersei now has a plan to get the people behind her, hopefully getting more soldiers, and also to deal with the dragons the best they can. So that's awesome. And now, since Euron is I'm gonna talk about more of this in the predictions, but now that Euron's gift is gonna be the Sand Snakes, and probably taking down their fleet, and maybe even Yara, Cersei's starting to get an upper hand where she's getting the information where they know that they're gonna be attacked, and they'll probably even torture one of the Sand Snakes or both to get the information on what's the whole plan. And they're probably going to give up the whole plan. But I'm going to talk about more of that in the predictions video. Was there anything else? I talked about Nymeria and Arya quite a bit, so I'm not going to touch on that. It was nice to see her back with Hot Pie on her journey. She's so gangster now. She just reminds me of, like a Bronn. Or even, like a Mountain when he was on his wandering days. Or like a Jack and Hagar, just like this lone wanderer, holding it down. She's got a bag of silver. She's got the horse. You know what I mean? She's got needles. She's ready to go. And she's dressed badass. She wears it badass. Hot Pie can see the difference. Nymeria can see the difference. That this is not Arya from season 1. Or 2, or 3, or 4 for that matter, This is post-season 5 Arya, and she is gangsta. Very Batman-like. I heard someone say that on the internet. I don't remember who, though. But that was all good stuff, too. And I think I talked about Sam. I think that's it. I think now I touched on everything I wanted to touch on from that I missed. And I missed stuff from the first episode, too, that I never talked about. But we'll try and get these going as good as I can. So hopefully you like them. Hopefully you watch them. Let me know down below. Give me your opinions. Throw in your 2 cents. Excuse me. Or anything Game of Thrones you want to discuss. Hit me up down below. Thank you for watching. As always, you guys have a fantastic day. And I will see you next time.